Okay, we come back to the additional note for the interface that is displayed explicitly. So I add additional note here. Uh, let's say you have a public class called coffee, yeah, and you inherit the I beverage. Okay, so and then you declare whatever properties and method. Okay, so for example, you declare a method get serving temperature, okay, which pass the boolean includes milk. Um, but you want to be specific that this get serving temperature is inherited from the iBeverage and has to be called from the iBeverage interface. So you can type iBeverage.getServing inside your class method. Okay, by using this, what you can see is because it's explicitly stated that this get serving temperature method is part of the iBeverage interface. When you call it, when you use the method, okay, so for example, you declare my coffee with the instantiate with the coffee, okay, coffee class, my coffee. So new coffee. So you have my coffee from that class. My coffee dot get serving temperature. If you don't have this in front of your method, that is fine. But with that, okay, unfortunately, this will not compile. It will give you an error. So how to solve this? You have to declare again, okay, iBeverage and create a new, use any new variable name, let's say my beverage equal to, okay, so assign your my coffee into this my beverage and don't forget to cast it, okay, using the interface iBeverage. So cast it into the interface and assign it to this new variable. Okay, now it will work. Okay, so you just type my beverage dot get serving temperature true. Yeah. Now I comparable. It's pretty straightforward. There is the public interface called iComparable. Okay, so you can just inherit it. Inside this public interface, they have just a functions called compare to. Yeah, compare to object. So if you want to see more about that, I give you the link directly from Microsoft Documentations. Okay, if I have time later, I will add additional note from the third party about this iComparable interface. Okay, so this is iComparable interface. Now let's see how you use it. Okay? So let's say you have so compare to, okay, so this is before we see how the interface work. Okay, in the example, the compare to method itself will compare two value. Okay, so for example, you have number one variable and number two variable, 5 and 100. So you create an integer called, let's say, result of the comparison. Okay, so the result variable equal to, it will store the result of the compare to method. Okay, number one dot compare to number two. So the result is, if number one is less, the value is less than number two, the result will be -1. If it is exactly the same, it will return 0. If number one is greater than number two, it will return 1. Okay, so in this case, number one is less than number two, it will return -1. Yeah. Now, how to implement this iComparable interface? So all you need to do, just inherit, okay, colon iComparable interface. Yeah. After you write this iComparable, now inside this class you have to use this compare to. Yeah. So int.iComparable.compare to obj. Okay, so this is the original method itself. Okay, so because you inherit this interface, you need, in this class, you need to have this method. Okay, compare to method. Now the compare to method, I did compare So I create the coffee2, yeah, which is I assume this is the class coffee. I create coffee2 from this class. Okay, it is an object, okay, from the coffee. I return the string dot compare, okay, the variety, okay. So later when the class is being used in the code, it will have whatever the instance name, okay. Let's say coffee dot variety will have a value, okay. So you can read and you can write the variety string value. So now you have a variety string value. You want to compare this with the current value that you have with the other value, okay. So the next the other variety. So if we return the string dot compare, so the current value in your coffee dot variety, the string coffee dot variety with the another object coffee2, okay, dot variety. So it will just compare two value, yeah, and it will return like the one that I mentioned just now, whether it's -1, 0, or 1. Okay. Now iComparer. So unlike iComparable, okay, iComparable is just to compare whether this the first value is it equal to the second value. Yeah. If it is equal, it will return 0. If it is not equal, it's either return -1 or 1. For iComparer, is similar, but it is for sorting purposes. Okay. So using the iComparer, you can sort the, let's say, array list. Yeah. So based on a certain properties. For example, the properties called ranking. Okay. So based on the ranking of a particular object, you want to sort it. Yeah. So you can use iComparer. Okay. Same thing. The iComparer will return either 0, -1, or 1. Okay. The difference is iComparer, if it is -1, okay, because iComparer will need to have the sort functions, sort method to be called. Okay. So if we sorted it, if it is -1, the next value, okay, the next value will be before. Okay, is it before, after, or the, so that is the iComparer. Yeah. So it will do the sort method, okay, and then pass the new instance as an argument. Yeah. So if the first value is less than the second value, it means the first value will be before the second value. Okay. So if it is 0, it doesn't matter whether it's in the beginning or in the so it will retain the same, the locations of the first value and the second value. Yeah. If they are when it does the comparison, it's the same. But if it is positive 1, the first value will be in front, will be after the second value. Okay, because of the dot sort method. Okay, so dot sort method take an integer value from here. Okay, so if it is -1, it will be sorted the first value and then the second value. Okay, so if they are the same, they will remain the same. If it is 0, it will return the same. If it returns the positive, the first value will be after the second value. Okay, so they will sorted it. The second value will be the first. The first become the second. Yeah. Now, public interface iComparer also only have a functions called compare. Yeah. It compare object X and object Y. Yeah. So iComparer implementations will sort, for example, you can use it to sort an array in the array list. Okay. So this is the example in full. Okay, as usual, I put additional note. You create, you declare, yeah, there's already a public interface called iComparer. Okay, int compare object x and object y. Yeah, and you create a class coffee rating comparer that implement the iComparer interface. Okay, so it means you need to have a compare functions. Yeah, see, there's a compare object here. Public int compare, for example, yeah, object x and object y. Yeah. So you declare using the, let's say you have already a class or a structure called coffee. You instantiate coffee 1, instantiate coffee 2. Okay, and then you have a rating 1 and rating 2. So you assign that rating, coffee 1 dot average rating equal to rating 1, coffee 2 dot average rating, put it in the rating 2. Yeah. So before I continue, okay, after that you will return the rating 1 compared to the rating 2. Okay, so again it will return either -1, 0 or 1. Okay, this is the difference. So once you have this, it also have the dot sort. Okay, now use the iComparer implementations example. You have you declare coffee 1. Okay, you instantiate coffee 1 with the coffee class or coffee structure, new coffee. Okay, in this case I assume based on the previous example, I assume this coffee is a class. You instantiate the coffee 1 from coffee class. Yeah, and then coffee 1 dot rating is 1.5, and same thing, coffee 2 dot rating is 0.1, coffee 3 dot rating is 7.1. Yeah, and then you put all these coffee 1, coffee 2, coffee 3 into the array list called coffee list, for example. Yeah, so you add it into the coffee list, coffee 1, coffee 2, coffee 3 into the coffee list array list. Now I want to sort them. Okay, so you just call coffee list dot sort in the bracket. Okay, new, and then call the class that inherit the iComparer. Yeah, so new coffee rating comparer. Okay, so using this, they will do the sorting of all these, okay, in the coffee list, yeah, based on the rating. Yeah. Object x, object y. Okay. Now let's take a look on the type safe collection.